Hey, this is Queen V. We are talking about overcoming seasons of crisis part 4. Part 4, we're going to get right into this. This is going to be good. You do not want to miss it, okay? Okay, happy Thursday. It's me, Queen V, again, and I am glad you all are here. We're still talking about overcoming seasons of crisis. This is part 4. And so I just want to do a little bit of a recap. I know at the in the last video I said that in so many words that God will use a crisis to bring you back to simplicity, to make you appreciate the days, because sometimes we can have so many good days and be at a point where we feel like we don't need anybody, and we feel like we're better than everybody because we've been experiencing days so much that we don't understand what it feels like to be night, to be in a night season. And so God will use that to bring simplicity back and make you friendly with people that you haven't been friendly with. And so, true leadership is tested in crisis. And so that's why we have to, always be grateful, always be appreciative. No matter what phase and stage of life we're in, we have to be grateful. We can't become high-minded, and so, during these times, we have to realize that there is never a time when there is no business going on. So no matter what kind of economic crisis or whatever we have had, there has never been a time where there was no business going on, okay? And so we need to be seeking God and asking Him what it is we can do during this time, because no matter what the environment, humans always need water, they always need food, they always need security, they always need protection and preservation. And so we have to ask God, what is it that we're supposed to be doing during this time? And so we have to find out what our gift is and what our work is. And when I say work, I'm not talking about a job, because the job is different from work, okay? Your job is what you're trained to do, and so you can do your job. Your work is that thing that you were gifted to do, that God called you to do. And so your work is what you were born to do. Your job is your career. You can never get fired from your work because it's something that has been placed on the inside of you. So you can never be fired from your work. You can be fired from your job. You can be fired from your job, but your job is what you were trained to do. Your work is your gift. And so you can retire from your job, but you can never retire from your work. You can't retire from yourself, because your work is that gift and what God has put in you, that assignment that He's put in you to do. And so that's why the word says we have to work while it's day, because at nighttime, when the door is closed, no man can work. And so when God spoke about work, He wasn't talking about your job. He was talking about the thing God has called you to do, and you do it with all your might. Your work is your job and your work are not the same. Your job prepares you for your work. So use your job to refine the gift that God has given you. So when they release you from the job, then you can find your gift and you can have peace in the fact that you've been released from your job. A lot of times we're released from our jobs And God is God's intention so that we can find our work, our purpose, that what we're supposed to be doing, that thing that we were born to do. And so, you know, Moses had a high-tech job. He was a prince. And so that's like having one of those high executive jobs. But guess what? He lost that job. He got fired. You know, that circumstance that caused him to go kill that person that was harming the Israelite, his Hebrew brother. And so he lost his executive job. And guess where he went? He went to Midian. And guess what he started doing? Shepherding. And so he was shepherding, but while he was doing that, he was learning how things are in a desert. He was learning how to lead. He was learning how to find water and supplies in the desert. He was learning skills. And so what that job was doing, he learned how to organize. He learned how to find water and stuff. He learned how to lead. And so during his time in the desert, it was actually preparing him for the Hebrews, for when they were released from slavery, because they were going to have to go through the desert. So that job prepared Moses for his work, what he was called to do. Okay? And so he became a shepherd. Like I said, he learned how to organize. He learned how to lead. He learned how to deal with the desert. He learned how to find water. So his job helped him learn the skills that he needed for his work that he was called to do. You know what? Some of us are doing jobs and it's not our work. You know, the minister who I heard this series from, he was talking about a woman that she worked as a maid. She worked as a maid in, I think, up north somewhere in Pennsylvania. But she worked as a maid, okay? And one day she went to a conference. And during that conference, the speaker was talking about your potential, you know, and what God has designed you to do. And she heard that message and she grabbed hold of it. And at the end of that meeting, you know, she said, I think she called the pastor's wife and said, I found my gift. And she said, my gift is making cookies. And so she left some cookies with the man of God. And the man of God said he bit into one of those cookies and he had an experience. And he didn't want to say what it was like, but it made his toes curl up. So those were some good cookies. And he told her, you need to start giving your cookies away for free. And you're gonna have a business, but it's gonna start in the back of your trunk. And so she started baking cookies and giving them to her family. And her family started ordering them for parties and events that they were having. And the news just kept spreading around. And next thing you know, she had to get a factory. And she had to hire 100 and something workers to help make her cookies. And her cookies are in the local store. So a year later, she went to one of his meetings. And she's like, do you remember me? And he was like, no, he didn't remember her. And she handed him a well-designed bag, organized, and it was her cookies. She said, you remember me, the cookie lady? He's like, oh yeah, do you have some cookies? So she gave him a bag of cookies. And she had become, in 1 year, a multi-millionaire over those cookies, driving a Rolls Royce. And so what she had to do is she had to start tapping into her gift and not her job. And so, there's no safety in a job. Your future is not in your job. Your future is not in any job. The future is in the one who holds the job. And so jobs are temporary and your work is permanent. Your work protects you from your job. Your work is what's going to protect you. When that job lays you off or fires you, it's your work. It's the thing that you've been called to do that protects you. Your work is your seed. And there's life in the seed. The life of the seed. The life in the seed is not in the announcement that, hey, the economy has gone down, we're having trouble. Life is still in the seed, no matter what is happening. And so every one of us, we possess a seed of greatness. And so your seed is your purpose, your seed is your passion, and your seed contains your future. Your seed is the ideas that won't go away, because wisdom gives you knowledge of witty inventions. And so your seed is that deep down potential. You know there is something in you. There's something you want to do. There's something you're interested in. You may be going to school for one thing, but inside it may be something else that you're supposed to be doing. And so we have to reach down and bring that potential out, those seeds of greatness. It takes a wise man to draw it out, and a lot of times it may be a man of God to draw out what's in us. A lot of times we don't know what's in us until we have somebody that loves us who is around us and say, you're really good at doing this. You're really good at doing this. You always do this. You know how to do this. People come to you for certain things because there's a seed of greatness. You may be working somewhere and been working there for a long time, and you're skilled to do that job, but the job is not your work. It's not what God called you to do. And so we have to, sometimes have somebody to tap into it so that they can bring it out of us. And so that's all I have for today, and I hope you all got something out of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link to that video for that message. And I know, because I can't tell it like he told it. I can't teach it like he did, but I thank God for it, because although it was recorded some years ago, it's on time for the day. The word of God is alive and quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. And so God bless you. Thank you all. Remember that God loves you, I love you, and Jesus is Lord. And y'all have a good weekend. And until then, I will see you, and you be prosperous and look for your potential, your work. And I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm just saying there's a work in you. There's something you were created for, to do, and it may not have anything to do with your job. Your job may be training you to be more effective in the work that you're supposed to be doing. All right, y'all have a good one. God bless you. Bye now.